Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Noza with another video. So, on this video, I'm going to be talking about Drive Impact. Now, Drive Impact is, if you did not know, a new mechanic in Street Fighter 6. Now, there was a lot of talk about it when it came to the first beta. Of course, I went through the motions of listening to other people's opinions and all that. But in this beta, I actually tried the game for myself, and when I tried it, I realized that, okay, number one, I understand. I truly do understand the fact that Drive Impact in the beginning can be annoying, right? But I also noticed that it really does have a lot of answers, and I know a lot of people, you've heard that opinion from many people and whatnot. But I'd say the addition to that is that you got to start thinking in the long-term perspective, because in the long run you're gonna find that there are gonna be certain setups or certain plays, especially when it comes to being in the corner, where you'll have very few options and you're just gonna kind of have to hold it. But how do I put this? The issue that I have noticed amongst the community is that they're very short-sighted in saying that, oh, the mental stack is a lot for a Street Fighter game. And originally it's just strike throw. But the thing that I would want to pose to you is, isn't that like a lot of games that are out right now? They're trying different things, trying new things, and I understand it's definitely human nature to be afraid of new things. But the fact that there are people who, oh, I wanted the old way, and dare say some people were saying I'd rather deal with Street Fighter 5 V-Trigger, is very interesting. Very far and few between people who are actually believing such a notion, but they exist. Essentially, my goal is always to be the opposite end of the bot-like thinking. I'm trying to pose different ideas to you, and that's kind of what my channel is all about, right? So then my question to those who really don't like Drive Impact is, what happened when you initially came across V-Trigger? What happened when you initially came across Focus Attack? There's new mechanics being added to the game and new mechanics that will enhance the gameplay. So then why are we so against it when everything feels so scrubby? Of course, naturally things are going to feel scrubby at the beginning because you don't understand it, right? A lot of things that or let's put it like this, a lot of things that the casuals would call very dumb and very scrubby are also things that have very simple answers to them. So instead of running directly to Twitter and start mashing on the word saying, oh, this mechanic is scrubby and that it is no good for the game and it'll kill the game faster than DNF Duel and its lack of DLC. I just had to take a shot out there. Don't even worry about it. But yeah, no, they type on the words really quickly without actually thinking about the words that they're actually saying. Again, the plight of Twitter, man. Twitter is just the cause of all the problems. Instead, why don't we wait for the number one, the vanilla version of the game to drop? Because this is like negative like 160, I don't know, right? And we don't even really consider the fact that DI might even change from now. The opposite end of that obviously will be people who are like, oh, we need to voice our opinions, so they make the appropriate changes. I'm like, okay, one, sure, they may listen to you, but the thing is that they're under the impression that, number one, you didn't even really have time with the game. You've only had a weekend, or sorry, 2 weekends at best with the game. So then how can you make a full judgment on a system mechanic that is probably going to be around for 6 years? Right? People just don't really think about what they're saying or what they're doing when they decide to type away on their issues with the game. At that, they're not even lab monsters. They probably went into their games thinking, ha, I have Guile experience, or ha, I have Chun or Ryu or Ken experience, so I'm just gonna allow my legacy knowledge to carry me, because Street Fighter is all about legacy. And I'm not gonna say that there aren't legacy things about Street Fighter. Like, me personally, I'm not like the hardest Street Fighter head, but I would say low forward and the fireball is a fair, that's a Street Fighter thing if I've ever seen one. If you're doing that, I'm like, okay, you're a Street Fighter head, because that's just a thing you do, right? But that's just basically where I was coming from. I want people to think a little bit more about why they decide to complain about things, and on top of that, why people decide to buy into the cycle. And when I talk about the cycle, I mean the fighting game complainment cycle, where people see a new game. Okay, new game is shiny. People see new game, and then once people see new game and play new game in a beta, they're like, oh, new game is scrubby. I wish old game just got visual updates, because old game is skillful and new game is scrubby. It happens every time there is an old game versus a new installment of the game. Happens every time, because apparently old game is just always seen with so much love for some strange reason. I'm like, okay, you know what, I understand you poured hours into the game and you don't really want to be reset that time, but here's the thing. The reality is, it is a different game. It is not the same game. It may have the same title with a number change, but it is not the same game. So why do you feel as though you have the entitlement to feel as though the developers should make the game in accordance with your feelings? And Tekken keeps true to their Tekken nature, and KOF stays true to their KOF nature. Of course, KOF even added new mechanics, which initially was a little slightly rough received, but overall it was fairly positive, right? Considering the mechanics they had in 14. But when it comes to Tekken, it kept so true that and the whole arcade style, they didn't even have stuff that would incorporate new people trying to get into the game. So in the beginning stages, it had a lot of trouble bringing people into the game, aside from the legacy heads. And then even then, some of the legacy heads didn't even like the game, because rage art is scrubby. Ooh, what is that? Huh? New mechanic bad, old way of doing things good? Psycho? Nah, couldn't be. But people play into it, and I don't blame them. Why I don't blame them? I'm not gonna take a shot at them. It's okay. I don't blame them, because they're gonna live their lives however they want to, and you can't really fault them for it. But the people who at least see this video, I want you to at least think a little bit more about what you're saying and what the implications of what you're saying are, because at the end of the day, it doesn't even really matter for the majority of us, especially if we're not even competing. But I'm saying that even if you are competing, you learn and adapt, and if it's so cheap and so scrubby, abuse it, right? And it's not only for the enemy to use, and on top of that, it's not even like Guard Crush and Guilty Gear, where like you get hit by it and you kind of just, all right, GG's, I guess. I just kind of have to hold this, right? But I digress. Thanks for listening to my rant once again. If you're new to the channel, which most people will be, if you would like to give me a like, please subscribe. That would be wonderful as well. And comment if you disagree or agree. I love to hear other people's opinions, and of course I don't get butthurt if you disagree with me. Argue with me, I don't mind. All right, have a good one. Peace.